Today's guest is a professional composer and musician who uses her skills to create positive change for people and children. She is also a vibrant dancer and personality who takes pride in being a good friend. Welcome, Phoebe Garrett. Is There More is the podcast where creators share how their darkest moments became the breakthroughs that changed everything. We're building a space for raw stories, deep connection, and real hope for everyone who's still writing their story. Brought to you by Dialogue Life Skills, the world's scalable solution to the teen and young adult mental health crisis. I'm your host, 𝗧𝗵𝗲𝗍𝗲, and I'm listening. What's going on, Phoebe?
Yeah, good. Today I've been hard at work scoring an animation. So that's I've just been like alone at my desk, like playing on the keys, like
Vibing.
getting it done. Yeah, so it's good though, it's fun.
What's that animation you're working on?
So it's for a kids educational franchise called Sema.
Yeah.
And they are inspiring kids to get into science, tech, engineering, maths with like a fun TV show and a YouTube channel with lots of songs. So yeah, music's a big part of it, actually.
I think I saw on Instagram one of your songs where you were talking about, science and how it relates to, like your science song. Can you sing a little bit of that? Is that weird to ask?
Was that the natural history?
The natural history, yep.
Yeah. Natural history, it's an actual mystery after all. What are we but a synergy of biology, physics, and chemistry? Me and you, animals too, trying to figure out what we're supposed to do. Do you think we could be in some kind of zoo for aliens looking at the Homo sapiens?
It's so good and cute and educational too.
A little bit, yeah. There's a bit of science in there. That one was just a song I wrote outside of work and released. But I'm seeing you're right. There is a science theme.
Yeah, a bit. Did you study science ever?
No. I guess I've always been interested in sciences. I feel like it's such a kind of big world where, unless you're doing like a degree in it, then how are you going to scratch the surface? But I'm still very interested. And like, for example, that song, I had been reading, I've still actually not finished this book, but the first part was good enough. The book called *Sapiens*.
Okay, I'm gonna write it down.
Yeah, I think it's like quite a kind of bestseller book, and it's about the history of humanity, and like for me, like looking at humanity through the lens of we're literally a species. Like we're literally, we are animals, we're not actually so different to the other living things around us. We think we're kind of, we think we're different. We think we're more important,
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like we're animals, we're a species, we have behavioral patterns, we have biology, and I find it helpful to look at people through that lens sometimes, and myself as well.
Okay, so you look at people through a lens of we're a species and more from a scientific point of view. My last guest was a yoga instructor and movement specialist, like somatic healing, named Natalie Nipper. And she was talking about like, she called it, I forget the word she used, but she was like something about the content of the soul. She was like, I try to look at things like from a soul energetic perspective and not ever from a physical body, because like every experience is just passing through. And we're so much more than just our like body. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. It's true, but it's like I don't think about it every single day, you know. Sometimes I'm just flesh and bones some days, and those are probably not the best days, but
No, I like that. It sounds like, yeah, it sounds like she went quite kind of into like a spiritual realm. Maybe when she was saying those things,
yeah.
I would maybe add to that, like, there's different levels to like yourself. Like, yes, there's the mind, which to be honest is the one where you're spending the most time in, I think.
Yeah.
And I guess if she's a somatic practitioner, then she's more about the body, the nervous system. And then there's also the subconscious mind, which I've been kind of interested in lately, which I feel like, yeah, we're not aware, but it still influences us. And that part is almost a bit scary. That's why I'm kind of trying to look into that now and see like how that affects behavior. But yeah, it's not just one thing, is it? There's a like, you know, different layers of
Yeah.
everyone.
What got you interested in the subconscious mind?
So I got interested in it through having quite vivid dreams. So especially like, so when I was just a very small girl, I had a lot of nightmares, like pretty much night after night. I mean, I think that it's quite common in young kids to have nightmares, but I think that I was maybe a little bit towards the extreme or chronic end where I was having them so regularly. So I think because I kind of grew up always being very aware of the dream state, because I was so terrified, right, as a kid of these nightmares that I was having, I would kind of develop like strategies, like I can now sort of lucid dream, if you will, because I can be aware that I'm dreaming, because that was my coping mechanism. When the dream got really scary, I would have to kind of have that awareness, like, all right, I'm dreaming now.
Wow.
And to be honest, like I kind of grew out of the nightmares. Sometimes in times of stress, I get them again. But it's only now that I'm actually kind of stepping back and being like, wait a minute, that's the, like, your dreams are your subconscious, right? Like, and if you're having like certain types of dreams, like for me, maybe it was nightmares or like dreams that had usually the same kind of narrative shifts in them, it's like, why have we never looked at this? You know, this is data. And like I don't believe in dream interpretation in the sense of red means danger or a black cat means, you know, not in that kind of superstition kind of Gossip Girl column, you know, magazine type thing. But I think for me, like really examining the emotion that you felt in that dream, like how did it feel? And that feeling, like when you wake up from a dream, obviously you forget it quite quickly, but I've been trying to remember them because I feel like, yeah, this is data. This is revealing to me what I'm actually really afraid of,
Yeah.
especially if it's a nightmare. Like that's your subconscious saying, you're scared of this. And if you think about the concepts of having, like, everybody's had that dream where, I don't know, they have a big test the next day and they have this anxiety dream about failing it or arriving without any of their stuff or being naked is the classic one. And it's like, it's anxiety because you're worried about the test. So I think for me, like knowing that nightmares and anxiety are like this became, that's what got me interested in examining these dreams, because I was thinking, you know, I'd quite like to, you know, calm down a bit, to be honest. Like I have, you know, especially in recent months, you know, after a big life event, I've been a bit on edge, and like I'm just examining my subconscious deeper for that reason.
What was that big life event that happened over the past couple months?
Yeah, so it is about 2 months ago now. I had I'd say my first kind of experience of grief, because I'd had I mean I'd had relationships end before, but this relationship was the first kind of life partner situation, I would say, and it was also quite an abrupt end that it came to. And I think that I'd maybe had you know, opportunities to really go through the grief process before, but I hadn't really taken them. Because maybe I had this sort of option to kind of move swiftly on, you know, maybe meet someone new, and, you know, maybe I didn't go the full depths of like that process. Whereas I think this time I've spent the last 2 months in a crazy roller coaster of grief emotions, and like it's been an experience that has, although very uncomfortable, I think taught me a lot, and ultimately I'm grateful for, which is a weird thing to say. But yeah, it's been, yeah, just quite eye-opening.
Okay. So let me see if I got that. You had a relationship abruptly fall apart, and it was this is your first real experience with grief, to the extent of you're really allowing yourself to feel it and be in it, and explore what it's telling you, and what those feelings are really bringing up for potentially healing on a deeper level, because you're thankful for for what happened. Did I get that?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Is there more to that?
Um, I guess maybe that thankful is like, because it's like a roller coaster. It's like you have some times when you're kind of, like, I'd say usually it kind of descends slowly, and then it goes like, you know, into really low mood, and then suddenly you kind of climb back out, and then you're kind of in this mode of like, I'm actually thankful for that. I've learned something in that dip. You know, I kind of gained this sort of gold dust, maybe some wisdom, maybe I learned something. And then it kind of slowly goes down, and you get the next little dip, and then you have to maybe learn something else, and maybe it's a different emotion that you're experiencing. And I think that gradually it's like an upward curve. But the idea of being thankful is like, you know, sometimes you're thankful and sometimes you're like, I wish this wasn't happening at all. And then, you know, so it's kind of a mix. But I'm hoping, I mean, my idea of embracing this, like you said, and going deeper into it, is that there will be some good awareness that comes from it.
What are those things that you've been learning, like at each little downturn?
People talk about grief as having 5 stages. Let me try and name them quickly. There's
Oh,
the denial,
denial.
um, bargaining,
I
which
think
is
it goes anger second.
always anger second, yeah.
I think so.
Then
And then bargaining.
bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And
Yep.
I think they were kind of put in an order, but then there's a sort of subtext of they could happen in any order.
Yeah.
And I would definitely say that that's true. And I think for me there were some emotions that I never even knew what they felt like until like this process. Like something like anger, I've never expressed it. I've just never expressed anger. Like I don't know, maybe it's my upbringing or conditioning or so, but I've always been very agreeable, you know, very peaceful. I've never fallen out with anyone. There's absolutely nobody in the world that I would say I'd never want to see them again. And some people might say that that's quite good, but also like anger is important for when your boundary has been crossed and when something was not okay. And I think that I got to a point where I kind of wanted to be super agreeable and forgiving and just, you know, accepting. And I did have those days as well. But I remember there was like a week or so where the anger hit so badly that I kind of realized like I have to be an angry person now. Like I have to add this into my personality because like it's something that I'm feeling, and you know, rather than suppress that, I'd like to express it. And I think that's kind of been a general theme actually, is expression instead of suppression. Like all these crazy emotions that, you know, you might feel like I don't want to cry for hours or punch a pillow or do something crazy or scream. But it's like, if you're not doing it and you're despite you're feeling it, then you're actually suppressing that. And, you know, probably your somatic coach would have said that's going to be stored in the body.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been letting out all kinds of crazy things.
That's great. Is it through music or just through your voice or through communication, connecting with people?
So sometimes I have like maybe connected a little bit with, like, I think to really kind of show emotion in front of somebody, it has to be quite a safe space. But for example, with the anger, I had a wonderful friend who had a pair of boxing gloves and like a punch pad. And I told him, like, I'm really feeling a lot of anger. And he was like, yes, this is the new angry Phoebe. Let's bring her out. And we actually had like a sort of like anger session where I was literally like punching. We played Rage Against the Machine on full volume. And it was very cathartic. And, you know, I think that was like a lovely thing for him to have done as well, to know that I really wanted to embrace that without, you know, actually causing any kind of damage. Because the thing about anger is, like, you know, you don't want it to lead to aggression. You don't want it to lead to actually doing something you would regret. Yeah. But letting it out in a safe space, like, that was a first for me. But yeah, the emotions have been extreme. I mean, anger, but all of the others as well. And just letting those out has been, yeah, probably one of the biggest learning curves for me.
Yeah, I love that you're doing that. And I love your anger thing, because I have that too, of like, I realize when I get angry, I'm either just going straight to hurt and bypassing the anger, or I don't know, I'm fully not feeling it sometimes. And so I don't know if it's like a woman thing or, yeah, like probably an upbringing thing, but I feel like I could work on that too. So
yeah,
we'll work on that this week.
We'll work on that.
Oh,
yeah.
I love the boxing gloves though. Like,
yeah.
physical, yeah, for me, I get it out a lot through like working out. But I would like to be able to be angry in front of people more. I think I struggle with that too.
Yeah. There's shame around it. Like you said, especially for women, there's shame around it. And recognizing the shame is important as well. Yeah.
Because shame is like the thing that kills everything. Then it's just horror. You can't move through anything if you have shame, because you're not letting yourself feel or express. Phoebe, do you want to take us back to like the point you were at when you were in that rock bottom time of your relationship ending, and kind of walk us through like exactly what happened? If you're comfortable doing that.
It was a sudden end to the relationship. He broke up with me. Like, we did have a rupture like just a few days prior, which I was really willing to work through. I was so willing to repair. I don't know if this was necessarily a good thing, how willing I was to repair it, because there might have been an element of sort of clinging to something there. But anyway, he decided quite quickly that it was over and there was no working through this, which I was very upset by. I, you know, like I said, wanted to repair it and didn't see why we had to end so abruptly.
If I got that, you were at your rupture, fight happened, and he decided really quickly that he wanted to end it, but you were really willing to repair, maybe even too willing, because of the circumstances, and you noticed that in that moment. Did I get that?
Yeah, I think I only noticed in hindsight that maybe my willingness to repair was a little, well, I don't know. I still question this, whether it was too much, because I think I was very much of the opinion that a relationship is a choice. It's something you build. It's not something you just find and you just fall in love and that's it. Like, it really is a choice. And when you have these rough patches, you have to that's when the choice becomes the glue, right? That repairs, and the incentive to knuckle down and say, let's actually cooperate and work on this. But I think if only one person is making that choice, then there's not enough, and it's not okay. So it had to end because even no matter how much I wanted to make that choice, he didn't. And yeah, so there was one conversation where he spontaneously just, it said it was over, and yeah, since then I never saw him again.
So it's not funny, but it's funny, but it's not. But
Yeah, it's okay now, really. But
it's is what it is. I think trying to not judge anything as good or bad, but like you're saying, flowing through things. But I love how you said relationship is a choice. And because it's a choice, it's work, it's a choosing to love and to perform the act of love, right, every day.
Mhm.
And it's not enough sometimes if one person is willing to keep choosing love and one person is not.
Mhm.
And so essentially, really, that's all it was, is you were willing to keep choosing, yes, let's stay together, and he wasn't. And so that's why you split apart and you haven't seen him since.
Yeah, yeah, that's correct.
How
Yeah,
long were you guys together for before?
so it was just over a year. So it could have been longer, which, like I'm glad it, was relatively accelerated, if it wasn't going to work in the end. I think it was the intensity of the relationship maybe that made me think this was, well, we absolutely agreed and we made future plans as
Yeah.
kind of sort of hoping for a life partner situation. Um, but looking back, I think also the intensity of the relationship might have actually been a problem. And I think that there was an element of attachment that was maybe coming slightly from a wounded place or bringing some kind of dysfunction. And it was almost like there were even maybe some kind of addictive elements to the attachment, I think, especially from his side and some from mine as well. So I think kind of stepping back and seeing everything from like a different perspective, I'm thinking maybe it was actually the right call to end this because it might not have been the healthiest form of love in the end. And I think that we were both maybe clinging to a sort of ideal that wasn't really there, perhaps. Mm.
Mm. So there was a lot of like big extreme emotion and even like addiction to certain dynamics. And you like now on in the hindsight, you kind of are able to see it from um maybe like a higher perspective and see almost like that illuminated all of your maybe subconscious patterns, right? That you now know you need or you are working on and through.
Hmm.
And so did that really sparked, I guess, a healing, like a major healing opening journey for you, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it sparked this kind of realization of like, wow, there's actually a lot of work to do, maybe more than I thought. Maybe things that I had ignored, kind of knew but had ignored, and now can't ignore anymore. Um, and I've been following a while a therapist and relationship coach called 𝗧𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗲.
Mm.
And I think there's something where she says like a relationship is it's a mirror, like it's a lesson, like you're actually going to learn about yourself. You think it's all about them, but really you're going to be confronted with yourself. And yeah, I would say that rings true.
Love that. Well, so what would you change? Like, not that you're gonna get back together or whatever, but like going forward, what have you learned so far that you like about yourself or about how you operate that you want to take with you?
Yeah, there's probably many things. But I think for me, like I need to be quite a lot more honest. Like this idea of suppression, um, I think has been a habit for me. And sometimes I'll have felt something that's maybe a bit uncomfortable. And because it's uncomfortable, I felt the shame. So I'll have the emotion, and then I'll have also that kind of guilt and shame, like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this, and therefore not actually express it. And there's no way I'd ever do this in a relationship again now, because I think it's a form of dishonesty, actually, if you're not really saying how you feel. And you might think, oh, it might be inconvenient for them, or they might react to this badly. But it's like, so what? You know, the truth is the truth. And that's what I would say, is just express that from day one.
Express how you feel from day one. No matter if you feel shame or if you feel suppression, that's when you definitely need to express.
Yeah, and it's tricky because, you know, in relationships, there can be a lot of shame. Like there's things like, like hurt or envy or jealousy, or these kind of emotions that are labeled as toxic sometimes. And I think it's easy to then think, oh, I can't admit this because, oh, they'll think it's toxic, or they'll just say maybe I'm insecure or whatever. But also, another thing is, if they haven't really given you that space, that where you feel safe to say these things, then that's a bit of an issue as well. Like, you know, if expression is key, and you express and they don't really meet you where you're at, or maybe they shut down, or kind of aren't really present, then I don't know if you can build a relationship with that person.
Yeah. This is like so beautiful to see somebody at supposedly such a low point kind of like unveil everything that they've been pushing down, suppressing, and holding on to, and just allowing themselves to flow through the emotions and to share their experience with others. It's so beautiful, and I really, really loved our conversation today. So if you guys like this video, please give it a like, please subscribe, and we will see you on the next one. That was Phoebe Garrett. I'm 𝗧𝗵𝗿𝗍𝗲, and this has been Is There More? Thanks for listening.